Clap along if you feel.
Good afternoon. It's Thursday. It's 3:08 and it's time for you to be adrenalized. That's right, folks. It's time to get that blood flowing and get re-energized. Why? Because you're here. You're alive and it's time to be motivated to live your best life. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning in today on, again, I swear, every Thursday is another beautiful day out there right here on Long Island. We are live at MacArthur Airport and we are loving this weather. This is like summer in October, now November. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. It's been a wonderful day out there. The sun is so beautiful. And I was just walking outside a little while ago and soaking in some of that sun rays and really feeling the energy of the universe, which was really awesome feeling at that moment in time. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest for today. Her name is Rachel Headings, and Rachel is the owner of Rachel's Healing Arts. She is a functional medicine practitioner, actually a nurse practitioner who practices functional medicine, and she's been a nurse practitioner for the last 14 years. And, you know, I'm a physician assistant by training. She's a nurse practitioner, but we all are doing these alternative things and alternative practices. So I thought it was great to bring her on the show, have her talk about what functional medicine is, and really introduce you to something very different. All right, Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. So happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to talk about functional medicine. So Rachel, can you tell everyone what is functional medicine? It's a relatively new specialty, correct?
Correct. Yeah, probably within the last maybe 20, 25 years-ish. But basically, to sum it up, it's root cause medicine. Basically going to the root of the problem, work in that arena, and then the symptoms and the problem resolve.
That is interesting. Going to the root of the problem. So what is a typical situation that it's chronic disease that you're taking care of, correct? So
typically, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, so if somebody comes in, let's say with diabetes, what would be something that a functional medicine provider would do different than a regular internal medicine provider?
So diabetes, in conventional world is we need to regulate your blood sugar with medications. In a functional medicine workup, we look all the way back to in utero and what plays a role even as you were a fetus. What were your genetic predispositions? Were you vaginal or C-section? Were you breastfed or bottle fed? What was your microbiome doing from 0 to 12 months? Did you get a lot of antibiotics? Did you have a lot of antibiotics as a child? We know in functional medicine that the gut microbiome balance affects blood sugar control. When conventional world says it's just diabetes, we say no, it's imbalance in the gut, it's in dysregulation of the cell and how everything's communicating. So we do a lot with lifestyle, some with supplements and repair of the microbiome. And if you're not too far into diabetes and you still have, some insulin producing cells left, you can reverse that.
Wow, which
I've done with some of my clients.
It is so interesting. I mean, we are learning more and more how there is so many natural ways now and better ways to handle our bodies, right? I mean, traditional Western medicine is give it a drug, right? Fix it with a drug, put something in its place, put something that makes it work better, that it changes it, right? But this is is going to the root cause of the problem, right? Medicines just become the Band-Aid and you never really sometimes get to the root of the problem. And that's what functional medicine does. That's awesome. How did you get into functional? Now you're a nurse practitioner. Were you a nurse before you became a nurse practitioner?
I was a nurse for 7 years. I've always wanted to be in the health and healing industry. I've always been one who likes to care for others and help people find, what's going to work for them to heal. And a lot of us on this side of things have our own healing journey, and that's no different for me. I was sick as a child, tried all the medications, steroids, antibiotics, inhalers. We've all been there. We all just kept being more sick and being told we were depressed and anxious and need to see a psychologist. And finally, when my parents took me to some chiropractors, we treated the root cause, did some elimination diet and some anti-inflammatory herbs. What do you know? my symptoms reversed. And it wasn't until I found functional medicine in 2011 that I understood why.
Right.
And when they were able to explain to me why the body healed, my heart, my whole body, my whole system was like, oh my gosh, they figured this out.
Right.
I've got to tell the world that there's a lot they can do to get better.
Absolutely. I mean, that is an incredible way of looking at something that we have now become so accustomed to, and we're changing the way we're looking at it and changing that perspective. And I think that's what's so beautiful about functional medicine. And I love seeing more and more people going into that. Now, is there a specific certification in functional medicine? Is there even a residency in functional medicine at this point? Do you know?
It's my hope that will be kind of the norm coming into medical schools and doing this training wholeheartedly, comprehensively from the get-go. But the way I got trained was through the Institute for Functional Medicine. They're actually the founders of functional medicine, Dr. David Jones, and I'm forgetting his name now, but they were the ones who taught me. I went through their whole certification course, and they have a really well-developed system to explain everything. So
let me ask you this question.
Dr. Jeffrey Bland. There
you go. You see, it always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. It always finds you. Does traditional insurance cover your visits with your patients? Or is this something out of pocket?
Not with my patients. You will find some functional medicine providers who try to fit functional medicine into a conventional model.
Got it.
In my experience, it doesn't work very well. Maybe for the run-of-the-mill people who just kind of want, not very much time.
Okay.
But when, conventional world is really based on time and 15-minute visits, and that's just not conducive with healing in my experience.
Well, I'm so excited to continue our conversation. We're going to take a break now, but if you have any questions and you want to give us a call, we are live in the studio. Rachel's here with me via Zoom. She's out in Iowa, but give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039, and you can talk to us. We'll answer any questions that you might have. If you're struggling with a chronic illness and you've tried all of the traditional ways, give us a call, and Rachel can enlighten us to some new ways of thinking about it. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but after the commercial break, we'll be back with Rachel, so give us a call. Hey, this is Tom Marino of The Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, New House Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. New House Restoration. Are you tired of nosebleed seats and extra fees? Do you want premium seats at affordable prices? Hey, this is Tom Marino from The Tom Marino Show, and I want to tell you about the best way to get premium tickets at affordable prices for your next concert, sporting event, comedy show, Broadway show, and if you need them anywhere in the United States, just contact Ticket Time. That's TicketTimeUSA.com, TicketTimeUSA.com, and tell them that Tom Marino sent you. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning in on this beautiful day, November 3rd. I cannot believe it's November 3rd, people. The time is just flying by. We've got Thanksgiving right around the corner, and I'm sure all of you are getting really excited about your Thanksgiving plans out there. There's nothing like trying to figure out where you're going on Thanksgiving, which family members you're spending vacation that day with. I always love these holiday seasons and how they disrupt people's lives. And listen, if you struggle with some relationships in your life, give me a call. You can text me at 516-588-0750. That's 516-588-0750. That's what I do. I help people figure out their relationships and how to set boundaries and how to make those things better. But, in the meantime, we're going to continue our conversation with Rachel Headings from Rachel's Healing Arts in the great state of Iowa. Rachel is a functional medicine practitioner, and she is a nurse practitioner by training. And Rachel and I have been talking all about what functional medicine is. We talked a little bit about how it's about getting to the root root cause of the problem, and it's a little bit different than the traditional practice of medicine and throwing medications at problems and really looking at what the root causes are. But, before the break, I had asked Rachel if traditional insurance covers functional medicine visits and things like that. And so, Rachel, how do people become a patient of yours? What is that process like? Is it like normal, like a regular calling the practitioner's office to make an appointment? How does that all work? And just tell people how they can reach you.
Yeah, on all my social media links and my website, rachelshealingarts.com, there's a let's chat now or contact me, and that will link you to my schedule for a free phone chat. I like to talk with my clients before we enter an agreement to see if everything aligns, if the price aligns, if how I work aligns. And so we really just have like a 30-minute phone chat to go over everything and see, kind of where they need to start, what and how I can help them. That's
fantastic. And what is like a typical visit with you like? You're doing it virtually, correct?
Correct. I'm pretty much 100% virtual. I do have a few local clients who begged me to see them in person. So I do see a couple in person.
Do you do house calls? Is that how it's done?
So we basically decide if we're going to do lab work or just jump right in and target like a personalized protocol and get them going on what I'm intuitively getting is what they need to start doing. We look at a lot of lifestyle things, some supplements, and just really making some fine-tuned adjustments to their daily routine and thought processes, because mindset, and we just kind of look at everything.
Yeah, it's so interesting. You were talking before about our microbiome, right? There's a lot of study being done on the gut and the microbiome of the gut. And, we've all heard of probiotics, right? And taking probiotics. Where does that kind of stuff fit into your practice of medicine and what you do?
Well, I used to think just changing your diet and taking a good probiotic was the end all, right? Mm-hmm. You eliminate all the bad stuff, you put in the good stuff, you get to live your happy, merry life. Well, in my experience, I've tried every diet out there and I took all kinds of probiotics and I still wasn't getting the health I desired. And so I've taken it a couple steps further on really cleaning house. So what's causing the food sensitivities? What's causing the gut microbiome to stay unbalanced? And there are things underlying even just diet restriction and probiotics that can actually bring harmony and homeostasis back to the microbiome.
Right. So is that what you mean by really getting to the root cause healing and the power to heal is looking at what is contributing to the issue, right? That's what I'm hearing you say is like, what's the fact? What are all the variables that you could possibly figure out that could be impacting and disrupting what our normal system is like? So tell us a little bit about that.
So you're really going to like this as a life coach because our ways of being and the way we really think about things and present ourselves through stress impacts our health. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people run very busy lives, very busy schedules, and don't prioritize their needs or getting out of stress. And to me, you got to start there. You can do all the functional lab work out there and, give all the nutrients you want, but your gut microbiome won't absorb them in a state of stress. Mm-hmm. And so really helping people become aware of where the gap is and helping them realize here's the things you can really do to make the most gain in your health journey.
Right. It's so interesting you talking about stress, right? Like personally, like I had diverticulitis before I was 40 years old, right? And diverticulitis is those, for those that don't know what diverticulitis is, it's those pouches or pockets that develop on your colon. And sometimes they get infected, sometimes they abscess, sometimes they bleed, sometimes they don't. And it's a very painful condition, right? And I always had an episode of diverticulitis flare up when I was stressed, right? In stressful moments, when I had a lot of things going on. I was planning my wife's 40th birthday party, and I wound up, her party was on the Friday night. The Sunday, I wound up in the hospital with diverticulitis because the stress of that planning and making sure that everything went well really took me by surprise, and I did not take care of myself that week, and I didn't take the time to de-stress, and I wound up in the hospital with an episode of diverticulitis. So what you're saying is so true. Have you seen, what have you seen as, or what do you recommend as the stress reliever, right? We all talk about yoga and meditation and making time for yourself. What are some of the typical recommendations that you make around de-stressing your life as part of establishing this root cause issue?
Well, if you've been in fight or flight for a long time and all your nervous system knows is I'm going to be eaten by a bear at any given moment, so you're just like revved all the time and, racing thoughts and just feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, I really recommend a stress reset protocol, which balances out the whole HPA axis, which gets your nervous system really calmed down. That's on my website, under my blog. There's a whole thing about stress and what to do about it. If you're just kind of like, maintaining, sleeping okay, but still kind of like prioritizing other people's needs over your own, but doing okay with it, I would say start plugging into some non-negotiable me time. And why I say non-negotiable is because that's the first thing that goes when we get busy. We skip our me time, we skip plugging in, and we forget what we need. And we go into overwhelm, and we just keep repeating.
Absolutely. Now you're talking my language in so many ways. One, I talk about living an adrenalized life and using the benefits of adrenaline that the body that does offer, and not living in that constant state of an adrenaline rush, because then you get adrenal fatigue and all of that stuff. But the other thing that you're talking about is one of my favorite words is the non-negotiables versus the negotiables, right? I tell people all the time, we have to determine what are your non-negotiables, because those things are the things that set up your boundaries and your opportunities to take care of you. So I love that you said that. How long does it take in your practice to see some positive results from some of these interventions that we're talking about?
So I get clients in all parts of their journey and commitment levels. If they're 110% committed, I'm ready to do whatever it takes, they'll get results in 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
By 3 months, they'll have created a whole new person. But for the people who are just maybe one toe in and still kind of in a stress cycle and not really fully committed, it's going to take a lot longer.
Wow, that's amazing. 4 to 6 weeks, but you have to put in the work, right? This is like anything that I say in coaching. It takes doing the work to get the outcomes that you want, the outcomes that you desire. We are talking with Rachel Headings from Rachel's Healing Arts. You can go to her website at rachelshealingarts.com. That's Rachel with one L, rachelshealingarts.com. And Rachel, you're also on Instagram, right? Rachel_healing_arts. So go follow Rachel during this commercial break. Go follow me at Tom Marino Coaching on Instagram, or go visit my website at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. And listen, we're going to be back with Rachel after this next set of commercials. If you want to give us a call, we are live at MacArthur Airport. It is now 3:30 on this Thursday, November the 3rd. So give us a call, 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. And we're going to be back. And again, we're talking with Rachel Headings, who is a functional medicine practitioner. And I'm telling you, this has been a great conversation so far. So stay tuned for the next segment after these breaks.
Is the truth, because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning back in on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, November the 3rd, where it's almost like 70 degrees out there or something like that right now. But it has been a great day here in the studio. We've been having a great conversation with Rachel Headings, who is a functional medicine practitioner from the great state of Iowa. Rachel and I met really through online stuff, and it was really great to meet someone, and we connected, and we had so many synergies. I wanted to have her on the show to talk about, healing, right? Because that's what we do, right? As practitioners, as healthcare practitioners, we both have been in the healing business for a long time, over 20 years. And now we're doing it in different ways. She's doing it as a functional medicine practitioner. I'm doing it as a coach, a life coach, a mindset coach, and business coach. And Rachel, you wrote down on here, healing is a process, not a destination. And I always say it's always about the journey, and the journey, not the destination. So I love seeing healing put into that statement, that healing is a process and not a destination. Tell us a little bit how you see that journey.
I used to think, oh, if I just, got this, or I just had the energy I needed, or if I just took this supplement, it would cure everything, and everything that I was searching for was always outside of me. And what I've started to notice now is it's really in the now, in the present moment, where I can get the most, awareness that I'm doing the things I need to do to get the best self forward.
Right.
And I think for healing, when we really take ownership of our journey and say, I'm committed to figuring myself out, that's when we can create the biggest and best sense of ourself there is. And that includes health and well-being. Right.
It's such an amazing thing. I was talking with somebody earlier this week, and she's going for surgery, and she has to have a hysterectomy. And, it's a tough battle for anyone when we go through these things. I've gone through a colon resection. A lot of family members have had different surgeries. We break bones. We get wounds. We're always, our bodies are so vulnerable to injury, right? And we sometimes, it's easier to understand the external, the injuries we can see. We don't always understand the internal injuries that our body is sustaining every day. But we are in a constant state of healing, and stress disrupts that state of healing at times. And I'm just curious to hear how do you explain to your clients and your patients how you approach healing them, and what they are going to get out of this experience with you as a functional medicine practitioner? Because it's not something that everybody knows about, right? So how do you sell it to them, basically?
Well, a lot of people need to feel heard, and they need to have somebody in there with them along the journey. So I'm one of those who's been called a detective, because I really like to dig deep to find what's going to work for them. So I personalize it, I support them, and I help them see the areas that maybe, hey, if we pay attention here, then this is going to create this, and help them really see where things need to change, basically, and bring in, the empowering techniques that can help them create what they truly desire.
Absolutely. That's awesome. One of the things that struck me about you when I saw your practice, I saw you had picked a very specific logo, and you picked the lotus flower as your logo. And I tell us why you picked that. And I love that you have it as a rainbow logo, like a rainbow color lotus flower. So tell us a little bit about why you picked that for your practice.
My healing journey has taken me inward, and I feel like the most gains in my health have happened when I started to figure myself out. The lotus flower to me represents how the chakras, or the energy systems of the body, play a role in that journey. And I really like to bring my body, mind, spirit in the process, and not leave one hanging, because they're all needed to bring about the miracles that can happen when you really plug in.
Absolutely. And you're touching on something so very profound and important to me too, is mind, body, and soul, right? Mind, body, and spirit, mind, body, and soul. And you said mindset is 80% of healing. What did you mean by that? Where do you see the mind's role in the healing process, that it's 80% of our total healing?
Well, I think we create a lot of our habits and just patterns and things that we do from a very young age. And I was in the victim mentality, and, just repeating a lot of people pleasing, over giving habits that were working against me. It wasn't until I entered my first mentorship to build my virtual practice that mindset was the first 3 modules. And I'm like, well, what does this have to do with anything? And she was the one who helped me bring awareness to how crappy my mindset really was, and how much I was judging myself, being my own worst critic, and actually holding myself back with a lot of limiting beliefs.
Right. Yeah, that's don't we all do that? I mean, as business owners, don't we get in our own way at times? Like we talk about all these different mindsets that we need to have, scarcity versus abundance, and how it's important to have an abundant mindset, and how to not have limiting beliefs that you can or can't do something. And, they all get in our way, and we really heal ourselves, right? What are some of the things, like what's the big thing right now in your business that is causing you to have that conflict of mindset? Like, what's going on? Is there anything going on right now that's stopping you, or any challenge that you're trying to overcome at this point?
I think I have a fear of building too quickly that holds me back, because it's like, I know what I want, I know what I desire, and it's big. But then I fear overwhelm, because I know what overwhelm feels like, and I don't want to go back to that. Right. And so just kind of trusting that each step is divinely guided, and that each, thing that comes my way is supported, and then I can safely expand and grow as I'm meant to.
Yeah, I always say to people when they say something like that, it's about being present, right? We have to focus on being present and not worrying about the future, and be present in the moment, because in this moment we have what we need, right? We have everything that we need, and it's more of that you have that fear of success, not a fear of failure, right? Because they're one and the same, as I often tell my clients. They're I was talking to a client earlier today, and I said, what do you think it is that gets in your way? And he goes, oh, my fear of failure. I said, is it really a fear of failure? Or are you afraid to succeed because of all the burden that comes with success, right? People struggle with that burden, and that's what it sounds like you're getting ready to struggle with. But, I always tell business owners specifically, and I'll impart this wisdom on you before our next break, but I always say to people, I say, you have to decide what type of business you're running. Are you running a lifestyle business, or are you running a legacy business? And you're gonna, and that my business partner and I have talked about that so many times, and how it's important to know what type of business you're running. Because if it's a lifestyle business, you have to build the boundaries that support that. If it's a legacy business, then it's the one that where you're gonna build more people, you're gonna scale it, you're gonna franchise it, you're gonna bring it to another level. And there's really an important distinction that needs to be made. So that's maybe a question I would just offer to you. Think about what type of business you want to have, something that is part of your life and your lifestyle, where it's really more of a job you've created for yourself, right? Because sometimes people just create a job for themselves when they create a business, and they're not really business owners. So it's very interesting that, it is a big challenge. Fear of success, fear of failure is a huge one when it comes to business owners and people trying to do something that's out of your comfort zone, frankly. But I love how you connected the chakras and all the energy, and you put that into your logo, because it is the energy within us that really is what becomes the healing power within us. So that's awesome. Well, we're going to continue our conversation with Rachel Headings. You can go to her website at rachelshealingarts.com. That's rachelshealingarts.com. You could follow her on Instagram and on TikTok. She's at Rachel_healingarts on both TikTok and Instagram. So we're going to continue our conversation. So stay tuned. And if you get a chance, run over to my new website at tommarino.com. Brand new designs. So excited to finally have that out there. But go check out tommarino.com and leave me fill out a contact form if you want to schedule a time to chat. All right, we'll talk to you right after this. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you again for tuning back in. All right, well, we are in the last part of our show today, and we've been talking with Rachel Headings, who is a functional medicine practitioner. And Rachel is just blown my mind in understanding what functional medicine is about, and how we are really speaking the same language here. We, as a coach and as a functional medicine practitioner, we are talking about making time for yourself, de-stressing your life, because all of that leads to some kind of illness. Rachel, I was going to ask you, you wrote here about, we were talking about limiting beliefs in the last segment, and how fears and limiting beliefs get in our way of success, and it gets in the way of a positive mindset to be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. how does the limited belief get in the way of somebody's healing? Like when people come to you with chronic illness, we see like mental health and other physical conditions become very isolating and all of that. And what limiting beliefs have you seen that you've had to work with people to help to heal?
A lot of people have tried a lot of things, done a lot of functional medicine things. They've worked with other providers. They've lost a lot of hope. And so one limiting belief would be actually like they can't heal. Like they just feel like they've tried everything. They have literally zero hope. And so just working with them to understand that they have the power within, as we start to listen and to, use techniques that I've learned to kind of help plug into that. And then maybe also the fear of healing, because when am I without my illness? Does that get me a lot of attention? Like fibromyalgia is like, oh, everybody pays attention to me because I'm sick.
Right.
Autoimmune disease, I'm angry at everybody. What am I without that anger?
Right.
And so you kind of just look at this as body, mind, spirit. It opens up a lot of different questions.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there about chronic illness. Yeah, when you become, we say people living with versus a diabetic, right? People living with diabetes, because we've tried to change that vernacular in talking about chronic conditions so that people aren't labeled by their condition, because that is a very negative secondary gain that people have. And people, yes, there is sometimes attention seeking behavior because of the illnesses that we have, right? And it happens. It's part of it because it is isolating and it does require attention, but there's an appropriate amount of attention. But that kind of attention only informs that limiting belief. It only validates that limiting belief. And that's what they project onto the world as being right? I mean, is that, because I have this, I can't do this. And that's not necessarily the case. Tell us about your situation and your patients too.
Well, in my experience, when the client takes complete ownership of their journey, they run out of excuses. There's no more blame game. There's no more, I can't, I won't. I don't have enough money, time, my kids come first. They run out of excuses. And that's when the magic can happen, because then we start to work together to say, well, this can work for you. This can work for you. And this can work for you. And they really create magic at that point.
Yeah, I love that, because excuses just become barriers. They become barriers and additional obstacles that we don't need and that get in our way. And that is more debilitating at times, is the excuses. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I have to go do this. Oh,
I don't have time.
Right. Yeah. I don't have time for that. Right. All of the excuses that we pile on, if the amount of time and energy that we put into making excuses, we could have already done it. Could already have done it. We've already taken the action.
A lot of courage, right?
Absolutely. It takes tremendous courage, right? And that's one of the principles of adrenalized living is courage, is being able to, go out there, come out of that comfort zone, abandon those old ways of living and old ways of thinking to really, and this is why mindset is such an important part of the healing journey in your space and in any space, right? But we don't do as traditional, like we both learned Western medicine, right? You learned as a nurse, I learned as a physician assistant, as a nurse practitioner, you learned, we learned Western medicine, and we have learned all the alternatives to Western medicine and what else is involved, and the importance of connecting mind, body, and soul, and making sure people understand why they do something, right? Like if you're like when you tell someone to lose weight, right? What are some, like, let's take weight, because that is a chronic illness. Obesity is a chronic illness. How do you deal with that in your practice?
I don't say lose weight. I say your body will release weight as we bring the balance back in and we eliminate the things that are creating the cortisol to be high or creating the gut microbiome to be imbalanced that actually hold on the weight. And so we talk of it more, visualize how you want to be. And here's the steps we can do to create that.
That is awesome. I love the way you said that. The weight will be released when we get things back into balance. It's not like we have to go put the effort into that. We have to put the effort into the habits and changing the variables that are contributing to it. I love that. That is so powerful, so powerful. Rachel, what's your favorite thing about your practice? What do you love the most about what you get to do?
Oh, sitting here on this side of things and watching people take ownership of their journey, and the magic they create, it's like better than the best Christmas present you've ever gotten, better than, anything I can imagine, because it's, you see that they have taken the courage, they've made the commitment, and now they're ready to do what they need to do to get better. And I get blown away by the results, just because, there's no guarantee.
Right.
And I can tell you to do all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's going to be your journey and it's going to be on you. So working together and having them create that magic is my favorite piece.
Yeah. And it's such a critical point. They have to do the work. Like we said earlier in the show, it's the importance of doing the work. And I think that is one of the things that people like the quick fix, right? People in our society love the on-demand results, right? So when they go to a traditional Western medicine provider, like there are, like me and other people out there that have practiced before, giving somebody the pill to take every day, that's the easy on-demand answer. What you do is not the easy on-demand answer. So when you have a client that's struggling, what is the number one thing that you tell them to help them break their struggle?
Well, I tell them to lean in for support, because when we're struggling, you don't want to do it alone.
Beautiful.
I'm on this side of things, practicing what I preach, and I've had a lot of struggles myself. So I can lend that, safe place for them to just let it all out. And that seems to be the most helpful thing.
I love that. When you're really struggling, lean into the support. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much. Rachel, this has been so much fun. I loved our conversation. I loved having you on. Thank you for bringing such great energy to the show today. Tell everyone how they can reach you again and what's the best way to contact you.
So rachelshealingarts.com, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Rachel_Healing Arts for Instagram, and Rachel's Healing Arts on Facebook. But I just, reach out. Let's have a free phone chat. I am a firm believer that, if we work together, we can find what's going to work for you to heal. I always I love a good challenge. I love to be a detective. I love to be your number one supporter and number one fan. And I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve that have helped a lot of people recover from COVID, recover from autoimmune disease, recover from chronic pain of 10 years, get off iron infusions, really turn their whole experience around and have a much more positive health and well-being experience.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. You're doing great work. Keep up the good work. And I look forward to having you on again in the future. All right. Well, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show. And listen, if you are a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner, whatever you call yourself, and you're struggling to make transitions in your life, you're struggling with some stagnation and stuckness, and you're stressing out, give me a call at 516-588-0750, 516-588-0750, or reach out to me at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. And until next time, this is Tom Marino saying, choose your adrenalized life.
Is you, 'cause I'm happy.